Hey, everybody. Welcome to another episode of The Dribble, the show where we took a closer look into the Boston Celtics, the rest of the NBA, and whatever else might come up. My name is still Luke Irwin, and I am still your host. Game 1 of the NBA Finals has come, and it has gone. Full team effort from everybody on the Boston Celtics, everybody pitching in both defensively and offensively, and the Celtics were simply too much for the Dallas Mavericks to handle. The Celtics took control of the game basically from the tip, winning throughout. It was kind of a blowout, ending the game 107-89. Yeah, that's an 18-point victory, which is fitting since the Celtics are looking to hang banner number 18. If you're superstitious like I am, that is a good omen. Love to see it. Like I said, blowout the entire game, leading by 29 at one point. So much to get into with matchups, what we saw Dallas do, what we saw Dallas unable to do. But we are going to bring in the one and only. You already know who it is. It is Timmy KGB, a.k.a. T-Bone Steak. Extra rare, no hollandaise. None. I know you're thinking one of these days he's going to drizzle some hollandaise, but no hollandaise. None, not even a drop. So we're gonna bring him in, and we're gonna do this, by the way, throughout the finals. After every single game, since there's a little bit of a gap, we're gonna hop on real quick for immediate game reactions, breakdowns, and that way we can also get some more major wager bets going as well. So there's so much to get into, like almost too much to get into for one game. I'm a little bit afraid of how much there is to get into, but I suggest we do, because this is the dribble. Timmy KGB. We are recording here one day after game 1 of the NBA Finals. I probably already know how you're doing, but how you doing?
I mean, Kristaps Porzingis, baby!
What can't he do? What can't he do?
Welcome back, big fella. I'm doing good. Doing good after a finals win. Let's go.
Dude, oh my God, you said it. KP, Kristaps Porzingis, epic fashion, not coming in with the rest of the players in warmups and then coming in by himself. And I know, it even showed the starting lineup. Al Horford's in the starting lineup. He doesn't come out with the team. Had me really worried. And he comes out like a boxer and the crowd goes wild. And of course, he has that game that he had.
It was so fun. I was like, uh-oh, what's going on here? Not starting. And then it was like, okay, is this a coaching decision? I think ultimately we'll talk about it, but it was a great choice to bring him off the bench. And God, I mean, we'll get into KP's game, but man, we're a different team with him. And it's just like so fun to see him not only like playing as well as he played on both ends. Like, did you think that Kristaps Porzingis was going to have to chase down blocks in this game? Full court, down blocks?
No,
he didn't look hurt to me. And, it was just not only to see him playing well, but to see him like, smiling at the crowd. He loves it. He's so, man, he adds a personality to this team when he's out there too. So,
yeah,
as you can imagine, we were hopping up and down over here at the crib and just loving it.
I couldn't believe it, man. Like you said, we'll talk about it, and we'll talk about so much more with this game. Immediate reaction. By the way, everybody listening, we're going to try to do more of these throughout this whole series, where right after the game, Timmy and I maybe bring Max on, where we're going to just react immediately to the games and have a couple shorter game-by-game analysis. And that'll also give us more chances for more bets in Major Wager, which, speaking of Major Wager, let's get to it. Last week, neither of us hit our bets. PJ Washington kind of sank us both. And also I had Dallas Mavericks beating the 6.5 spread. They got trounced by the Boston Celtics in game 1. So I lost my bet where I bet 100, and Tim, you lost yours where you're playing it safe, only betting 50. So right now you still have $1,645, and I am at a meek $852. Nope. So yeah. So I need to get some things rolling, but I'm gonna kick it to you first for game 2, Major Wager. What do you look at? What do you see? What do you like?
I have 2 picks, but I'm not going to make them both. But I'm just going to sort of pick one here in the moment. The similarity between the two of them is, so in this game, like you last time, erroneously, but hopefully this time it works, I'm going to pick the Mavs covering the spread, first of all. I do think, they're going to make adjustments. Game 2s, we've obviously struggled. So So yeah, that +7 is the number. It seems pretty high, even
Mhm.
even given the fact that they were fortunate to lose by 18, I believe it was in this game. Um, so I'm gonna go with, yeah, I like this one better. Mavericks +7, and I'm also gonna add Jason Tatum an alternate point spread 20 plus points.
Mhm.
Okay. And Luca an alternate point spread 30 plus. So
Okay.
three legs, and it's
Yep.
just the Mavs to cover the spread, which is 7, Tatum to score more than 20 points, and Luca to score more than 30.
Mhm.
Uh, I was going to go straight up just Tatum over his, I believe it's 26 and a half is the line on Tatum right now. But then I liked this one because I also think Luca is going to have another big night, possibly and hopefully bigger than he had for this bet in game one. And Tatum is, I don't know. I think Tatum's going to have a big game. So I like those three together. Those are altogether, that same game parlay is +172. And I will bet $100.
The major wager standard, $100. I like all those bets. I like one of them so much, in fact, that I stole it for mine. Uh, I like that a lot and especially you're still playing it safe, but with the $100, what'd you say the
That's
odds
safe.
were?
It's a three-leg parlay.
What was it? What was the odds total? You said
172 +172.
plus 172. Okay, so here's mine. The one that I liked the legs of yours that I liked. I like your legs. My
Okay.
brother's legs that I liked. The other one I did not like, but I did a 3-leg parlay, same game parlay. I like Dallas covering the spread. It's +7. And I just like them. I did it last time. It didn't work out, obviously, with the blowout, but I think we knew there was going to be one blowout. The Celtics team has done this all year long. It just happened to come in game one, which I did not see. Like you said, Celtics suffer or struggle a little bit in game two. Sometimes they let go of the gas, especially after a blowout. Maybe just subconsciously they feel better about the matchups and they kind of let go of the rope a little bit. But again, not betting on the money line, just the spread for them to cover. And then I'm going to do Kyrie Irving over 22 and a half points, which, look, we played amazing on him. He took terrible shots. We're going to get into how he played and the matchups that we have for him. But it is still Kyrie Irving. And we've seen him be up and down all playoffs long, right? There were sections against OKC. There were sections against the Timberwolves where he would not score a high amount and seemed to kind of be taking a back seat. I think he's going to come out with a vengeance. He is a guy who is talked about as one of the most skilled players, and he is being dragged today all over the media for the way that he played. He was just taking stupid shots and he wasn't making them. So I think he's going to have a better scoring output in this second game. And like we said, sometimes defensively is where we see the Celtics let up in game twos. And then the third leg.
Oh, boy.
Okay. Tatum over 41 and a half points, rebounds, and assists. This is a bet that I want to really take for game three because game three, Tatum is prolific. He talked about it in one of his post games. It's his favorite game to play on the road. He plays amazing on the road in the playoffs. But I'm thinking a big bounce back game from him. 16 points, 11 rebounds, 5 assists in this last game. Too many turnovers. We'll get to that. But I think that the Dallas Mavericks double teamed him, triple teamed him. And even if it wasn't on the ball, double teaming and triple teaming, they packed the paint every single time he touched the ball, packed it, which he is so, we'll talk about this, but his game is so matured to where he notices that he kicks it. It's a swing pass. Even if it's not an assist for him, he's able to get it out. I think that the Mavericks will adjust their defensive scheme. They're going to try to stick to Porzingis. They're going to try to stick to Horford, White. They know that these guys can all shoot. And I think they'd be smart to not just triple and double and just basically, it was obvious that the Dallas Mavericks game plan was like take Tatum out of the game. It was pretty obvious. So I think that they'll change it up. He'll be more aggressive. He'll get his points. And I'm just thinking like a normal 2024 Tatum playoff game, 28 points, 27 points, 10 rebounds, 5 assists. That'll get him above the 41 and a half. Yeah. So that's my 3-leg parlay. I got the Dallas beating the spread. The Dallas Mavericks beating spread over 22 and a half points for Kyrie Irving and over 41 and a half total points, rebounds, and assists for Jason Tatum.
So what's the odds on that?
The odds are plus 420, dude.
Oh, dude, now I see.
It's a magical bet, dude. Odds are plus 420. I'm betting 100.
Yeah, well, that number that number is fitting for a bet that includes an over on Kyrie Irving. You'd have to be high to want to bet. Hey, you like that? You see what I did
That's
there
good.
on Kyrie? We get it.
That's
You love
good.
Kyrie. You've always loved Kyrie. You're a big fan.
Okay.
You don't have to. No. I think Kyrie. I don't like that leg. Honestly, I think he's going to struggle again. I think Kyrie. Look. What is he? 0 for 11 in the Garden after
Yeah,
after this. He needs to get a new Sage guy. Like I don't think it worked.
I know.
He whatever he was trying to accomplish with that episode didn't work. Dude struggles, but it's not a mystery, man. He was like I just thought Drew especially, but just the way we guarded him, and it's a
Yeah.
combination of something mental with him playing in the Garden, and also just the way we're playing him. But I think he's going to continue to struggle. But I like that. The rest of the legs, we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. And let's just go right into then the game.
Yeah,
Speaking of Kyrie Irving, because the way that we were able to guard the perimeter and guard their two, obviously all pro, all NBA. Well, I don't think actually Irving was not an all NBA, but talked about like he's all NBA players. Yeah, our length was a problem for them. And all week long, people were talking about Gobert being the best shot blocker and how, like, if he can score over Gobert, he can score over Porzingis. And Al Horford blocked him. Porzingis had a block on him. We played suffocating defense. We funneled them, and they fell for the bait, funneling them into help. We did a great job of that. But what did you see overall? What to you was the number one reason that we won the game the way that we did?
well, I'm glad you asked that question because I wrote down 4 reasons, and the
Good.
number one reason is what you just alluded to. I thought we won this on the defensive end, which is obviously not, it's they scored 89 points. I mean, we clearly played great defense. So just going into what we did, yeah, I thought this was like a masterful, just team defensive effort
Yeah.
tonight on this Mavericks team, who all we've been hearing leading up to this finals is, well, what are the Celtics going to do when they come up against these real teams in the West, these real offenses? And Dallas is a really good team, no doubt. Like, but this is what we do, and I think the Celtics had just a great game plan here. So number one, like the number that stuck out to me over anything else was two numbers really. Luka 1 assist,
Yeah.
okay, and the Mavs team assist was 9. Mavs had 9 assists as a team.
Yeah.
That like played out in the eye test. Like we forced the Mavericks to play tons of one-on-one ball. Luka still got his points. I mean, he was very good for stretches of the game, but it was similar to like one of the matchups we had with them earlier in the season, where I think Luka went for like high 30s, but it was like, yeah, it doesn't really matter.
Who
I mean,
cares?
can happen. This team can weather that kind of thing. One guy going off, and it's not like Luka had an exceptional night, but we forced this team into pretty difficult shot making, generally one-on-one basketball, and we stayed home. I thought we did a great job like protecting the corners.
Yep.
We both lost on that PJ Washington leg to the parlays because we had seen the Mavericks sort of spring it out to whoever, PJ Washington or Derrick Jones Jr., all these guys who can hit a shot. I thought the Celtics did a great job staying home on those threes and also preventing lob dunks. I mean, there was no interior passing, which this Mavericks team has done a really good job. Like Lively or
Yep.
Gafford or all those guys were totally non-factors for the most part offensively, especially Lively.
Yeah.
So yeah, I just thought protecting, like forcing them to play one-on-one, not over. We said this on the pod last time, but not overreacting to Luka. Like we generally were content with having Luka like dribble into coverage and not overhelping and letting him rack up assists and get other
Mm-hmm.
guys hot, get the momentum of the Mavericks going, except for, a couple stretches where they started to get some of that momentum. So whether it was on Luka or Kyrie, I thought the whole team played great defense, but I want to highlight especially Holiday.
Yeah.
You look at the box score, if you didn't watch the game, you're like, yeah, Holiday had a pretty good game. But I thought he was great. Like just all game, pretty much every possession. He guarded Kyrie for a lot of it, then switched on to Luka, guarded Luka near the end of the game,
Mm-hmm.
really cooled him off. But just in general, I thought he set the tone defensively. Whole team was really good, and that's where we won this one.
Yeah, I think last episode, the number one thing that I talked about, I think you had asked me, Luke, what do the Mavericks need to do, or what is their advantage in this game? What do they need to do to win the game? And my thing was the dunks. It was about how many dunks they get and how I think it was 118 before entering this finals, and the next closest was like 80. That's a huge margin. And it's not just about the dunk. I mean, technically, because what I was counting was also just like right at the rim scores. So they just
Yeah.
scored a lot in the paint. And we saw against the Pacers, who led the league in paint scoring. They scored a lot in the paint, but it was a lot of like 6 foot fall away jumpers. It wasn't a lot of at the rim action. And in this game, we did exactly what I thought Kristaps Porzingis would be able to do. And the main thing for us to win was stop their interior scoring. And we absolutely did. And not only did we stop their interior scoring with active hands, Derek White is so good on the weak side movement to like come block. His ability to roam combined with Drew's innate ability to roam is incredible. Having those two guys, if they're not on ball,
they're so scary defensively.
They're so scary. It just,
I love it.
I was watching it with Hannah, my wife, and I was telling her, like, don't watch the ball. I was like, just watch Derek White for like 3 possessions. Just like watch him, even if he doesn't have the ball, even if he's not on the ball. And she was just like, he is moving around so much. She was amazed by how much he does. So look, the Celtics were 16 for 16 at the rim. 16 for 16. Yeah, in this game. Absolutely incredible. Oh, wait, no, sorry. Not say, wait, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm looking at the shot clock. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 for 12. Sorry. 12 for 12 at the rim.
We didn't miss at the rim?
We did not miss at the rim. Now, if you look at the shot chart for the Dallas Mavericks, they missed a bunch. They missed 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 at the rim they missed. The misses that we had at the rim, I mean, like directly at the rim, like dunks at the rim, like opportunities right at the rim. Tatum missed 2 layups, one in the first and then one late where he just like kind of did a scoop shot and Al Horford cleaned it up on the offensive glass and put it back in. But other than that, like at the rim, direct, we were perfect. And so we basically, like all year, we've been able to morph this team to what it needs to be. Let me ask you a question. Did this game, because a lot of people now that it's on the national stage, a couple of friends of mine who don't watch a ton of Celtics were like, wow, I didn't realize we'd play this good, or didn't realize the Celtics would play this good. Did this seem far off from what we've seen all season, or did this seem like par for the course for what we've seen in the regular season with this team?
Well, no, to me, it was exactly the type of way that we've won all year when we played our best. I mean, obviously there's some differences. Like Tatum had a pretty, I don't want to say an anomalous game. He would have these games every once in a while. We can talk about it. I think he had a terrible game, but he didn't have a great game, obviously.
Yeah.
So he's more featured usually, but I just thought, I think we can use this opportunity to talk about Porzingis because, going through this Eastern Conference, we mostly didn't have this guy. And I just think people forgot how important he was to the team. And like what we saw tonight with, well, usually he starts when he's playing, but with Porzingis coming in, making an immediate impact, and then everything sort of emerging from that.
Yeah.
Like that was the catalyst, his play in the first quarter to going up by, what was it, 17 in the first quarter.
Mm-hmm.
We obviously we blew a big lead, but I thought it was a lot of what we saw all year, which is a balanced effort, tons of people scoring, lots of guys with 15. I think White had 15, Drew had 12, whatever. The highest scorer on the Celtics was I believe 22 from Brown.
22 from Brown, yeah.
So really balanced, and just Porzingis was the best player tonight on either side.
Yeah.
And he has been that. He's not the best Celtic, but he can be on any given night the best player, even coming back, in this case, clearly coming back from a long stretch of absence. So I just thought we played poised within ourselves. I thought Tatum's game, at least in the beginning, made a lot of sense. I think I texted you saying, like, man, after getting criticized the way Tatum has gotten criticized, to play the facilitator like this, to make sure everybody eats, to make sure everyone's shooting, that's just such a mature response. Now, I think ultimately he needed to be more aggressive as the game went on, especially when Dallas closed that gap. And
he did, though. He did have the 2 plays in the third quarter when they cut it to 8. He had the 3, and then he had a big assist. I think he was aggressive where he needed to be. I wanted to ask you this question too. What would you give him for a grade? Because you're right, it's a weird game that he had. Like, it certainly is not an A plus. I mean, or an A. even. Porzingis obviously takes that crown, but what would you give him for a grade?
You can ask my students. I'm kind of a tough grader. I think I would give
Me
him
too.
a B minus and maybe even a C plus, which isn't to say terrible. Like he didn't
No.
need to be an A in this game, so it's hard to quibble with his play where we won by 18 and we should have won by more. But the reason why I would give him a lower score is, like I said, I think the best of Tatum is he sees, in my opinion, he sees the game and the flow of the game better than almost any star.
Hmm.
And so I think coming out and saying, "Look, when I drive, this is Tatum. I'm going to be looking to pass, looking and that was clearly the game plan. We wanted to shoot threes. We shot 42 of them tonight, and
Yeah.
we made 39%, but which isn't a crazy percentage. But we're going to win games when we shoot that much. Look,
Yep.
so he's getting those open looks. Horford hits one. White hits a couple. We even got Sam Hauser back in the mix, hitting a
I
couple threes.
I
So
wanted to
happy.
bring him up. Oh my God.
And so I love that. I do think at a certain point, in his best games, he'll do that and then take over a second or third quarter.
Yeah.
And I think that again, we're picking nits because we won handily, but yeah, I just thought it was. He even said he was nervous. He was asked about this, and he seemed to play a little hesitant. There were times when it's just like, look up and you can have an open layup.
Exactly. He
A couple of those. Yeah.
drove to the rim. What
And
seemed
six
like
turnovers. Six turnovers too.
that's I was gonna say my grade for him would be a B minus. Also, I would say a B plus if it weren't for the turnovers. The turnovers are a little bit skewed because he was. You notice that our offense kind of does funnel through him with
Oh,
everything,
absolutely.
and
Absolutely.
and that's something that we didn't used to do in the past. And I love when we do the screen slips with him. He sets a screen and he gets the ball. Either he'll slip the screen and go up, or he'll press the screener and bring him down to the free throw line. And he had that big dunk where he caught it on the free throw line on Kyrie, faked one way, came in and just
Yep.
yammed it over Maxwell Kleber, which sounds like he sounds like a diehard enemy, like
Yeah.
a villain, like Maxi Kleber,
Well, in this one, he died in the first scene because he
He's
was
a goon
not.
in this one. He wasn't the
They
featured
were
one.
not able. Dallas was not able to utilize those players. Kleber hasn't played. I think he'd been hurt before this, but like some of those guys, I thought it was partly our defense, but just partly maybe bad coaching by the Mavs or just bad execution. But
Mm-hmm.
they couldn't get anyone involved really in any significant way offensively, and
Yeah.
so they're just not going to win games if they can't do
Well,
that.
the thing about it that I was impressed with, again, going back to Tatum, why? Because with 6 turnovers, 16 points, and shooting 6 for 16 from the floor, I would typically give him like a C minus. But they were doubling him, they were tripling him. But then on the defensive end, he was basically playing center defense for a lot of the game. He was marked up on Lively a lot. He was taking switches a lot. He was really active on the defensive end, and I think just our length surprised Dallas mostly.
Yeah.
Like that's what I noticed mostly. Our length and our athleticism just surprised them. And like for example, like Luka bringing the ball up and getting pickpocketed by Jalen so quick. And that happened like twice in the game. And you didn't see that happen once because Anthony Edwards and the Timberwolves, I think just for lack of a better term, blew their load on the Nuggets and that treated that like that was their finals. And I think that they kind of were a little bit exhausted and kind of they had already climbed the mountaintop that they expected to climb. And I just think that the Mavericks ran into a brick wall with what we gave them. I think that like you have those guys. I mean, if you think of Maxi Kleber was like what? I mean, he's played like 5 games, 4 games since coming back from that shoulder injury. He's recently back.
He's sort of been in and out of the rotation. I just think,
Yeah.
like, I don't know exactly what has been health and what has been like basically DNPs for
Yeah.
him. But I mean, they've just been playing more of Gafford. I thought Gafford actually had good moments. Like he brings a lot of energy. They just couldn't sort of sustain any production from them. I mean, but
Yeah.
what you're saying is true. It's like this Celtics team. There are really no mismatches. You would think, everything's a mismatch for Luka, pretty much, right? I
Yeah.
mean, kind of. But other than that, like there are no mismatches. It's not like, oh, let me go hunt fill in the blank Derek White. No,
Right.
it just doesn't happen. I mean, Peyton Pritchard was the one. I mean, he sort of. I'm not sure this is a Pritchard series. He didn't play well, but we, on the other hand, the Celtics, especially with Porzingis, were able to really organically take advantage of mismatches. Like I just thought back to KP because I don't feel like we fully dwelled on like just
No,
how
he is the player of the game. We should talk about him.
I just what he gives us the Celtics is a totally different dimension to the offense. So like just just playing through the high post and like whoever it was that was guarding KP, he's just so good at making quick decisions. He like turns around, just faces up and shoots, or he'll make a good pass out of that position. Like he doesn't belabor his post possessions, and it gives
Mm-hmm.
us like a whole, you have to react to it. The defense of the Mavericks had to react to it constantly. Obviously, he was just like letting 30 footers fly and like making them, and like he was doing everything. But I loved my favorite play from him. Two plays. The chase down block was like insane.
Yeah.
I was just like, A, don't do that. We need you this whole series, but like
Yeah.
B, shit. But when he just cooked Lively, do you remember that
Oh,
play?
yep.
And went left and just sort of dunked it at the rim. And it was like, wow, this is the matchup that people have been saying. Like Lively, is this great matchup for Porzingis. We just gave him a glass of warm milk and put him to bed. I mean,
Yeah.
Lively
But,
just not doing
and
it. He was really aggressive in a good way. He came out, he's like, yeah, let's go. But he committed like a million fouls and just he
mhm.
sucked. But
Well, he's a
I
rookie in his
really,
first finals. I mean, but you don't think that Dallas's game plan of putting Josh Green or Jaden
yeah,
Hardy on Porzingis like
yeah, that didn't work.
it
Yeah,
did not work. Yeah, no,
and I
definitely
think
did not work.
you listen to some of these people talk about it. I think people are like, "Wow, Porzingis isn't going to have a game like that again." It's like, well, he may not, but that is kind of how he plays. He
Yeah,
goes crazy early in games and then sort of disappears. He did that a little bit in this game too, right? He sort of will score in bunches and be the center of an offense for like a quarter or two. And when he does it this well and gets the Garden as rolling as they clearly were, uh, yeah, you asked the question earlier. Is this a surprising game? No, this is a very Celtics game
yeah,
plan. And it wasn't perfect. That's also a Celtics thing. We let
exactly.
that lead slide away. And I think everybody, including me, was like, don't do
But
this.
again, I know that. Look, everybody knows this. You certainly know this. Tatum's my favorite player. Again, that's why I liked his game more than what the stat sheet shows, because when Luka Doncic cut it to 8, he made like two big offensive plays, hit that big three, and he made a great defensive play on the block that turned it back into a 15-point game. And then from there, we didn't look back. I want to point something out. I think last time I brought up that guy, Kevin Wildes. I think I brought that up.
Okay.
He's on a show. There is a list that he had. He predicts Celtics in 6, and there's a list of games that he how he expects each game to go with like a basic phrase. And we got one last night. So his predictions were there will be one Tatum game that'll go Celtics. There'll be one Luka game that goes Luka. There'll be one Jalen game that goes Celtics. There'll be one timely Drew stop game, like a big clutch stop, which goes Celtics. There will be one Celtics go ice cold from 3, which
Okay.
goes Dallas. And then there'll be one balanced, no one scores more than 25 plus a game, which was
That
this
was
one.
this one.
And he is slash KP. And this was posted by him pre-game 1. And he put a check mark balance. No one scores more than 25 a game slash KP game. And that's exactly what happened in game 1. I just wanted to point that out. And all of those, I mean, look, I just think that is probably how it will go. This team is just so good that the two wins he predicts, at least for the Magic, are Luka goes off, has probably a 40 something, and Celtics go ice cold. So it's like they're one guy that can do it, and
Yeah.
then the other team losing it essentially. And then the
Well,
rest is just team ball from the
yeah,
Celtics.
I think those are, I mean, it would be really cool and funny if those all came true.
Yeah.
I was going to ask you, and because after this loss, it's a pretty bad loss for the Mavericks, but
Yeah.
it's a game 1. They like never win game 1s,
Yeah. They
whatever.
lose game 1s a lot.
But whatever. What do you do? Like, what's the adjustment? Like, because like you said, how do you beat the Celtics? If you're the Mavs, yeah, Luka goes crazy, which is cool, but that's not a coaching adjustment. And Celtic missed a shitload of threes, which would be good too if you're the Mavs, but that's also not really a coaching adjustment. So, what do you think they did wrong in this game, or what do you think that Dallas can improve on?
I have an answer for that, and I touched on it earlier. It is the attention that they gave to Tatum. Like, I truly think that they did not, they didn't guard and give respect to the other guys on the team enough. They collapsed too early. They were too focused on him every single time he caught the ball. I wish that I had some tape up here, but you can see it if you go watch it. Every single time Tatum touches the ball, eyes from everybody on the court go to him, and they take one step into the paint. Like all 5 players like take one step into the paint, and Tatum sees that, does a little drive, kicks it to White, swings to Drew. Drew puts it into KP. KP now has a one-on-one matchup with no one near him and everybody on the weak side, and then we score. And so the adjustment I would say is like, and I hate to say this because of my love for Tatum, but like, see if he can beat you. Yeah. That would be my suggestion. Stay tight on the perimeter. Treat Derek White like he is, like he could be a number 2 scoring option on a lesser team. Treat Drew Holiday like he is. He once was the second option on the Bucks. Treat Jaylen Brown like who he is, the Finals MVP. And
Finals MVP?
So far he is, but I meant maybe. Eastern Conference Finals MVP. Maybe a little bit of prediction coming out, but
could happen.
You know what I mean? Like that would be my path to victory. It would be let Tatum beat you. Like that's what we did with Luka. Like let Luka go one-on-one, let him score his 30, but take care of the other pieces. And that is to me the only path to victory other than, per Kevin Wildes, Luka going off or Celtics just going cold.
I would add to that, like I agree that but and this is part of what you said, I think it related to it, but just taking away the 3 from the Celtics, because the Celtics clearly want to shoot threes. We made that very clear in this game.
Yeah.
And, it like I think I said earlier, we shot 39%. It's not like that's not a bad percentage from 3, especially when you're shooting 42 of them, but it's certainly not scorching hot.
It's not what we can do. We are capable
and so
of better.
You almost, I was going to say, as a Celtics fan, you almost leave that game thinking, we could have shot better, and Tatum could have looked at the rim a little more. And, and so I think Mavs are going to have to take away the Celtics 3-point looks, the open looks. And honestly, we could even do a better job of taking away some of those looks from the Mavs. They missed a couple open ones. And then the other part of it, just offensively for the Mavs.
Yeah.
They need to pass the ball better. They need to get the ball moving better than it moved in this game.
Yeah, good point.
So many possessions. I was like, well, that was a miss, but also there was 1 pass or 0 passes.
9 assists. Really felt, you said.
Yeah. And part of that's our defense. And I just think part of that was just clearly something that Mavs will focus on, when they look at film and they'll change that. Game 2 predictions. Why don't you go first?
Game 2 predictions. So first, I just want to real quick say about the offensive side of it. Yeah, and they will. If I didn't pick it in my major wager, but if maybe I'll just pick it on my own bet. But Tatum, Luka will have more assists. He has to, and I mean, I think that obviously will be a point of emphasis.
Can't have much fewer.
Yeah, right. Can't have fewer. If you do, I mean, well, you can have 1 fewer. But and then also one last thing about their defense is also be physical. We were clearly the more physical team. You have Jaylen Brown meeting Luka before the half court line, picking his pocket, going for a dunk. I didn't feel, unless it was Tatum, I didn't feel a ton of perimeter pressure by anybody.
Kyrie actually sneakily had a couple of good defensive plays.
You're right.
Yeah.
Which all
but especially playoffs. There was one, I believe it was on White, maybe, but or maybe Tatum, where he picked his pocket, from behind.
It was on. I think Tatum was passing back to Brown. Oh no, it was on Tatum. Tatum was driving. He picked his pocket from behind, but then KP had the big block on Green on the other end. That was the dunk attempt after closing the first quarter. Oh, speaking of closing the first quarter, I wanted to get this out. I do not like the one critique of Joe Mazzulla that I could give, which he is now front row Joe, and he's been amazing, great at managing personalities, and obviously great with the schematics and everything on the court, but he's been very impressive. Tatum all year long would get subbed out at around the 6-minute mark of the first quarter, come back in with about 2 minutes left in the first quarter, and then that's when he went on those 15-point spurts to start the second quarter. All year long, they were consistent with that all year long. And I know we're nitpicking, but I just feel like now we're playing him all first quarter. Jaylen Brown is getting taken out, and then he's out for the first, or then they keep Tatum in for the first minute or so in the second quarter, and then he's out for 6 minutes in the second quarter. And I think it's contributing a little bit to these slow starts, and kind of what we've seen all year is Tatum will 2 points, 4 points in the first quarter. Doesn't matter. He's facilitating, do what he does. But then he goes on these 15-point rants in to start the second quarter because he's had that rest in the first quarter. So that's just something I want to see. But hey, if we're winning by 20, then that's good. And also the Mavericks scored 75 points before they started taking their starters out. So, I mean, it's clearly working on the court. Game 2 predictions. Sorry. Took a long time to get there, but we have arrived.
You're good.
Oh, what a tough one. I predict a very, very close game. That's why I picked Mavericks beating the spread. A close, hotly contested, kind of like who's hitting the big shots late. And I think finally we're going to go up 2-0 on them. I predict Celtics will win this in a close one, maybe even an overtime game. And like I said, with the points, rebounds, and assists, I do expect a bigger game out of Tatum. But either way, win or lose, game 3s are my favorite, and I'm excited to see how we respond regardless. What's your prediction?
I agree with you that I feel like it's going to be a really close game. I predict a huge Luka game.
Yeah.
Huge.
Yeah.
I think he's going to be, because remember, by the way, I think you agree with me on this. This game, it was cool. It was great to win game 1, and I thought we played really well, not perfectly.
Yeah.
But this game did not make me think, oh, we're going to handle the Mavs. I don't feel, I still feel like we're going to win the series. I predicted Celtics in 6, and I think I would still say that, maybe 5 or 6 now. But I still think the Mavs are going to be really competitive. And I think game 2, let's hope history, we sort of learn from some of our game 2 performances in the past, but it's going to come down to the wire. I see like a overtime.
Yeah, but what are you picking?
Well, I don't want to pick like a heartbreaking loss on a Luka 3, but it wouldn't surprise me. And but I will pick, in the interest of trying to manifest positive things, a narrow at the wire Celtics game 2 win. I hope.
Do we finally get a Jason Tatum game winner?
That would be great. We would love that over here.
We would love that here.
That would be pretty fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I don't know, but I think yes, Tatum will be more featured in the offense. I just think because if the Mavs are going to do what you said, which I think they will have to do, the court is just going to open up for the Jays. Like, Brown was able to score really. We didn't talk about him much, but he had a really good game. But I think in game 2, it's just going to be a lot easier for them to get downhill and score in the paint if the paint is less packed.
Yeah.
And if the Mavs are staying home on shooters more than they were in game 1 and stuff like that. So, and if they react to Porzingis, which clearly they need to, because
they need to.
That's the cool thing about KP. It's like, it's what he does and what he adds, and his scoring and defense was crazy. But more importantly, it's like, all right, well, now we have to deal with this guy.
Yeah.
So then what are we going to do when he's in the high post against one of those guys like Jalen Hardy or whatever the guy's name is? And, are they going to send another guy? Are they going to send help?
And if they do that, who are you sending him from? And especially if the Celtics set it up where the next closest defender is on Tatum. Yeah. You can't send that guy. So
you said earlier 12 shots at the rim. I expect that number to go way up. I think it's going to be one of those games where it's much more physical and much more about the Tatum and Brown, especially like finishing around the rim. So we'll see. It could work out for us. It could not, but yeah.
And I agree with you. I do think it's going to be one of those games because I think it's going to be Luka screaming at the crowd, doing that Luka thing. Where he's talking to some loud fan. It's going to be one of those things where there's a hush in the crowd late mid fourth quarter where it's like, oh, this game is in the balance. But we both picked Celtics to come out Sunday. And everybody, we are going to wrap up here now. But after this game, like I said, we're going to do the same thing where we're going to dive into game 2, make our predictions, make our major wager bets for game 3. That'll be either Monday or Tuesday. Game 3 is, of course, on Wednesday. So yeah, stay tuned for that. But good talking to you. Good breaking it down. And let's go Celtics, baby.
Go Celtics.
Let's go. Peace.
Peace.